Good morning and welcome to My Left Ear. I am Carrie Freeman. This is video 122 and it's Sunday, October 9th, 2022. And so if you have not been here before, this channel really is for liberals, Democrats, progressives, and independents. And if you are a fan of Donald Trump, or part of the GOP, you will not like this channel. I'm just going to tell you up front, so you should move on. I'm not nasty, but you won't like this channel. So what I do here is I talk about what's going on in the political news. I do some psychic commentary on it. I throw the runes, the oracle runes, on key questions, and I give you my interpretations. And we have some fun. I talk about something called good evidence, which really is anything that lights you up, and I wrote a book about it. And I offer quotes at the end. I started doing that 2 years ago because I love quotes. I find them inspirational. And then I found out everybody likes them. So it's very popular now. What do I do when I'm not doing this? I'm an author and I do private sessions. I do sessions for general coaching, psychic coaching, and I do clinical hypnotherapy, which helps people with challenges, habits, issues, confidence, and it goes on and on. Now, a lot of information about me is in the description below, my email, and then I always post in the community section. I have 2 books, The Comic's Daughter, which has been selling really well, and something really good is happening with it, and my book, Good Evidence and Positive Noticing, which is on Amazon. So all of that is there. All right, here we go. This is for entertainment purposes only. All right, I might have to repeat that. Now I want to start off with a bit of a bang. So I went right to the runes this morning for you and me. The question is, will Trump's indictment happen before Thanksgiving? I have found, and as I've mentioned to you before, that when I give a time frame and I ask these questions, it kind of works out well. So there we go. So I threw the runes, and the first rune I got was the rune of strength in the reversed position. So it says, without ears to hear or eyes to see, and that would be Trump, right? You may fail to take advantage of the moment. And I put in parentheses there because when my left ear comes in, I keep little notes when my left ear informs me, and I put regarding not returning files and hiding the files. Then we go back to the runes. It may appear that your own strength is being used against you. And in a way, I don't know if it's his own strength, but his wiliness, his wily coyoteness, he's causing the indictment to happen faster, is kind of what I want to say, all right? Or the strength reversed may provide a hard jolt. It requires serious thought about your relationship with yourself, and it is a passage into darkness. Okay, now here's what's interesting. The next rune I pulled was the rune called wholeness, life force, that generally has really good connotations. And when I was reading it, and what I've noticed in the past, doing this a lot, I'm gonna turn the air conditioner off, it just turned on. Come on guys, go off. Hold on. There we go. The second answer with wholeness, I was kind of going back and forth between, is this particular rune about you and I, or is it about Trump? So let me just read through it and we'll discuss. Wholeness, that which our nature requires, wholeness. That which Trump does not have, wholeness. He's sort of fractured, he's not whole. It embodies an impulse towards self-realization. Now, he doesn't have an impulse towards self-realization, but I want to say the democratic template actually does. It is a rune of great power, making life force available. And I want to say that means to us, life force becomes more available when Trump gets indicted and begins losing his power more and more. So it marks a time of regeneration down to the cellular level. That's huge change. And when he gets indicted, that's down to the cellular level. This is something he's been avoiding for 76 years. It talks about letting the light into part of your life that has been secret and shut away. Well, a lot is going to be exposed with a grand jury indictment and all that goes with it. It gives advice: vanquish your refusal to let right action flow through you. He won't take any advice, but you know, that's what it's advising. And then initiation, which is the rune of mystery. The association with it is like the phoenix, which was the mystical bird that consumes itself in a fire and then rises from its own ashes. And you know, it feels a little bit like that's what's happening to all of us in a way also. That it says that forces of change are at work here. Like, no, you know, that's no surprise, right? I was going to swear, but I'm not going to. It's associated with the eagle, free from entanglements. That would be us. We want freedom from Trump and all the criminality and entanglements. So the rune is concerned with your destiny, with his destiny, with our destiny. And here it is. For some, it indicates experiencing a death. It advises, let go of everything, no exceptions. We will revisit this, but my intuition, my left ear, thinks we will see an indictment drop before Thanksgiving. And it might be in Georgia with Fani Willis. But I'll this. But right now, yeah, I think an indictment's going to happen way before Thanksgiving. So there you go. Now we're moving on. A little comment about Joe Biden, something that that came through me, you know, my left ear. Joe Biden got a lot of attention because he talked to some journalists, not at the podium on a mic, and he talked about taking Putin's nuclear threat seriously. And this caused a whole uproar. I'm not sure why it would, because it's like, of course, you know, this is a serious possibility. But I had a thought that's a little bit different, and I'm just going to run it by you. I wonder, my left ear, when Joe Biden was talking about taking Putin's nuclear threat seriously, my left ear said this could be a ploy on the part of Joe Biden. Not that nuclear material isn't unbelievably serious, but here's my thought. The more Biden publicly takes Putin seriously, I think the more the threats de-escalate. He's a little man, Pootie, that needs to be taken very seriously. He's got issues with power. I think it's possible that Joe Biden was being clever. and he was sort of patronizing Putin and making him feel important. Okay, so I just wanted to say that most of the pundits, generals, admirals that talk about this nuclear threat, they generally don't think he's serious. But there has to be a wake-up call about this. All right, so I asked the runes, will Putin use a nuclear option? That's how I put it, a nuclear option, all right? So the first rune I got was Journey. And Journey is concerned with communications, with the attunement over something that has two sides. And of course, that's Ukraine and Russia. Two elements. And it is akin to a union that comes to the end of a long journey. And that would be the war. Journey, the war. And it is a journey towards healing and self-change. It cautions us, them, material advantages must not weigh heavily now. The end is in sight. The end is in sight. Not the end of civilization, not the nuclear end. The end of this war is in sight. That's the journey. All right, now the second rune was interesting. I got the blank rune. It is called unknowable. There's no markings on it. And it says, blank is the end. I put Putin in quote, in marks. And blank is the beginning, which is sort of perfect for this question, because the end of the war, the beginning of the rebirth of Ukraine. That makes a lot of sense to me. It does require total trust, because we're moving into this new energetic, slowly. Destiny is involved here, and this rune can portend a death. Usually it's symbolic, and it requires relinquishing control as the ultimate challenge, and of course that would be Putin, relinquishing control. And of course everybody is talking about how to help him save face. Do you believe that? How to help him save face over his genocide. This whole situation can and is drawing to the surface our deepest fears. That is so true. And it does, require an empty-handed leap into the abyss, because we don't know. I am leaning towards he will not. That's what my left ear is leaning towards. And this is about the path of karma. Now, the third rune here is a reverse. It's the rune of opening, but it's in the reverse position. So it says, expect a darkening of the light in some situation or relationship. A friendship or partnership may be dying. The death of a way of being in a war is no longer valid. The war is no longer valid. Failure to face up to the reality is a huge loss of opportunity. So based on this and my left ear, my screen just blew up like it always does, as you know. I say, and I know I'm going way out on a limb here, because some kind of nuclear strike is utterly dark and impossibly serious. But I'm, for entertainment purposes only, for YouTube, I'm going to say the war is winding down slowly. Putin cannot regain anything, and it's the how. But my left ear doesn't think he's going to option any kind of nuclear option. All right. Now we're going to move on, because I did do quite a bit of runes today. The race for the Senate with Tim Ryan and J.D. Vance in Ohio is razor close. Now, it seems impossible that it would be razor close, but it's razor close, because it's Ohio. And J.D. Vance is blood red. He's red. He's redder than red. So the first rune I got was defense, which has to do with avertive powers. And it says, as we are tested, fund the power to avert defeat. And this is for Tim Ryan, just to really be clever, really dance around, but he is clever. He is really a smart man. If there is an obstacle, consider the benefit. Maybe J.D. Vance comes up with some dialogue that Tim Ryan can jump all over and use. It speaks of difficulties that arise at the beginning of new life. And Tim Ryan going into the Senate is new life, okay? It advises, foresee consequences and avert difficulties with right action. Growth is promoted through inconvenience and discomfort. Well, you know, Tim Ryan is fighting the fight, and I doubt he's getting much sleep. So it is inconvenient, it is not comfortable, and he's fighting because he believes. He believes in working for the people, doing the right thing, helping everybody, protecting women. Then the second rune I got was protection reversed. And it's simple. It says temperance and courtesy are key here. It just means Tim Ryan shouldn't lose his temper, blow it. Just keep doing what he's doing. Look out for your health and your associations. He needs to get some sleep. Then disruption. The Great Awakener. That's what they call it. So disruption is about change, freedom, invention, liberation. And it is a deep need in the psyche to break free. It's a rune of elemental disruption, and it indicates that there are events that are beyond our control. However, when I put this whole reading together, I think Tim Ryan is going to win by a whisker. It's just silly because you can't even compare them. It's like comparing Raphael Warnock with, what's his name? Herschel Walker. I don't even like saying his name. But at any rate, I'm going to revisit this because we have 30 days or 29 days. But right now, razor close, my left ear thinks Tim Ryan's going to pull it off. Fantastic. I love Tim Ryan. All right. Then finally, because of the whole thing with Herschel Walker and the news coming out that he's paid for one abortion we know of, he asked the same woman to abort a second pregnancy. Now, why? This is just a side note. Why does anybody date Herschel Walker or have sex with Herschel Walker? Come on, people, really? Oh, anyway, she did. And they went on in their relationship, and he asked her not to have the second abortion, and she did. Airplane. And now there are texts between that woman who had an abortion and Herschel Walker's wife. And that woman has all kinds of backup and receipts. Kind of smart. All right. So there's, for Warnock, the gateway reversed is the first rune. And it's a quickening of development that's happening. As he gets closer, it is a time of accelerated growth, which means his numbers are probably going to spike in a good way. But there will be reason to halt along the way in order to integrate anything new that's coming up. So in these last 29, 30 days, probably new information will come out about Herschel Walker, new things. Right now, Raphael Warnock, Senator Warnock, is handling things beautifully. He's just letting everybody else talk about it. So smart. He's just not getting into the mud, and he doesn't need to. So there we go. Gateway, The nature of this reversed rune depends on the quality of your attitude and clarity of intention, which Warnock has in spades. Do not act from weakness and no hasty decisions. That is not Warnock's nature. Hasty. That's not his nature. It says, wait on the will of heaven. I love that because Senator Warnock is a minister. I don't know whether he calls himself a minister or a pastor, so I want to be careful how I frame that. Then, here it goes. Here's the reason why I believe Raphael is going to regain the Senate or continue his Senate. Partnership. I got the rune of partnership. I don't even have to do a long explanation. It means partnership. It's very positive, and it's his partnering with the Senate, with the Democratic Senate. Then here's the final rune from this question about, will Raphael Warnock gain the Senate again? Will he continue? I got the rune of joy. Well, joy is joy. So I want to say close, maybe not so close, because the news keeps getting worse on there's a reason why I keep forgetting Herschel Walker's name. Oh, he's so offensive. But he could lose more points. So Raphael will win. And, you know, I don't know if you, there's this woman named Dana Loesch. I think that's how you say her name. And she was very big with the NRA. She's very extremist and all this kind of stuff. And she's tough, and she's a harpy. She's one of those tough Republican women. So unappealing. But she got up at some event and said that she doesn't care. She doesn't care if Raphael Warnock paid for an abortion. She doesn't care. She cares about taking over the Senate. That's what she cares about. And that's what she said. I don't care. I just want to take the Senate. We just want to take the Senate. I don't care what he did. So this woman, Dana, she really spoke for the whole Republican Party. It's like when she said that, she outed the whole party, because honestly, no matter how they win, they don't care. They just want to get in. So, you know, there's just no ethics, values, accountability. They just want to win. So it's okay if Herschel paid for several 1, 2, 3, 4 abortions. And, you know, my left ear can tell you without question that there are people, there are men in the GOP that have done the very same thing, and they're quaking in their boots, and they hope they're not going to be found out. And that would go for Donald Trump too. No question he paid for, I want to say, numerous abortions. I have no evidence on that, though. And you know, evidence, I like the word evidence. Now, speaking of evidence, here's a couple of pieces of good evidence. In California, for years and years and years, there was a weatherman named Fritz Coleman, who he just retired about 1.5 years ago. Very popular and very involved in civic events, charities, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Fritz goes to the same Starbucks I go to. And one day I found myself sitting next to him, and we were both working and writing. And he actually is also a stand-up comedian, and he's very, very funny. So I spoke to him, and I said, you know, my dad was a stand-up, and we got into a whole conversation. We became friendly. We're like Starbucks friends. So whenever I go to Starbucks and I run into him, because he's always there in the morning, he buys me my drink. He doesn't have to, but he does. He goes, come on, order, get what you want. So yesterday I went to Starbucks, and there was Fritz, and we just arrived at the same time. And I have 2 Starbucks cards now for my birthday, but he bought me my favorite, a grande hot chocolate with an extra pump of vanilla and an extra pump of chocolate with whipped cream. It's divine. So I ran into Fritz. It's just a nice connection. And he always buys me a coffee or hot chocolate. It's these little things And then to something larger that I'll share more later, but many of you, some of you have read my book, The Comic's Daughter. I got uniformly wonderful responses from everybody. Loved the book. And I think I told you that a very experienced, weathered screenplay writer read the book and fell in love with it. And he was in town from Michigan. We had lunch, and there's something happening here. And that's all I can tell you. It's just something happening here. Details to come. It's good evidence, okay? Now, oh, and by the way, let me just say this about The Comic's Daughter. At some point, I will have no more books to mail to people. So, and I don't know if I'm going to put it on Amazon later on. I'm mostly interested in getting a screenplay done. However, if you're at all interested, go ahead and order the book from me. I mail it from me. I autograph it, and you won't be sorry. It's wildly entertaining, and it reveals a lot about my life. And that will be in the description, and it will be in the community section where I'll give you that information. There's a link there. And now we're on to the quotes. And speaking of writing, I found this quote by Anne Rice, Interview with a Vampire, just a book you may have heard of. She wrote, "You do have a story inside you. It lies articulate and waiting to be written, behind your silence and your suffering." Anne Rice, really nice. I'll repeat it. You do have a story inside of you. It lies articulate and waiting to be written, behind your silence and your suffering. And she is right about that. The biggest problem with writing and writer's block is not the writing, it's the sitting down. And that is from a wonderful book by Stephen Pressfield called The War of Art. One of the greatest books I've ever read, and it's like paper thin. It's so easy to read. The War of Art. So there we go. Now, after this coming Wednesday, I probably won't be around for about 6 days because I have out-of-town company coming, and it's awfully hard to write and do a video and all that stuff with out-of-town company. She's staying with me. So that's my sister-in-law, by the way. Wanted to get you know that. But I'm going to come on Wednesday morning, and I'll do a Patreon because it's time for a Patreon. And I'll just bring you a little bit up to speed. I hope you enjoyed today. I'm going to head out. It's really a pretty day in Southern California, not too hot. Really like the temperature here. So I know I will bring Petey on camera with me. Someone asked. I'm very flattered. But he's, even though he's really good about being picked up and held, he's not so good when I'm sitting in this chair. He squirms, but I will try and bring him in for a little live shot next time. So I say, once again, thank you for my birthday wishes. Made me feel wonderful. Peace and blessings. And make peace. Make good memories. Smile at someone. Ask a question. Give a compliment. Okay, we're all done now. Oh, I have to tell you something. Yesterday I got a COVID shot and a flu shot in the same arm, and I'm fine today. I feel fine, but the arm hurts. When I reach out to touch this to say goodbye, I'm like, oh, yes, I did get those shots, but I'm okay, so no big deal. Anyway, bye-bye.